Hello there, everybody. Meteorologist Jim Dickey back with you with another edition of Tropics Talk on this Tuesday, June 17th, 2025. Halfway through June now, and we still have yet to see our first named storm of the year in the Atlantic. Not that I'm complaining about that. It's nice to get things off to a quiet start out there. Take a look. Satellite presentation across the Atlantic here this morning, and there's simply not much to see. Only sort of area of interest right now, at least as far as I'm concerned, is this blow up of thunderstorm activity near Central America. That's going to be one of the spots to watch going forward through the next couple of days, through the next week or so. Some models want to try to spin something up here in the far southern Caribbean, drifted across Central America. But otherwise, I mean, you look at the Gulf, much of the Caribbean, all the way back to the coast of Africa, what we call the main development region, looking very, very quiet. No surprise when you look at the current Saharan dust, a whole lot of it out there. Strong high pressure. The Bermuda Azores high is quite strong right now, and that has led to fairly strong east-to-west trade winds, which has swept these bursts of dust off the coast of Africa. You see, we still have some dust over the Caribbean as we go into Thursday. Another wave of dust approaching the Caribbean by the time we get to Friday. And you can see by the time we get to Friday, there's another burst of dust that is set to move off of the coast of Africa. So it's been active Saharan dust train so far during the month of June that has, at least in part, helped to keep a lid on things. And as such, I think we keep it quiet. Like I said, one thing we'll be watching is here in the South Caribbean, a tropical wave that is just now moving its way toward the Caribbean. This is by the time we get to Friday morning. As that moves into that general vicinity, and we have a somewhat active Central American gyre going on with the broad easterly trade winds across the Caribbean with westerlies south of Central America in the eastern Pacific. As that tropical wave moves in, perhaps we get some enhancement of it by that gyre pattern. You see a little more blow up of downpour and thunderstorm activity here over Central America, Nicaragua, Honduras as we go into 8 o'clock Sunday evening. This is Sunday evening, continuing forward into next week. That general storminess drifts towards the Yucatan, and then maybe, emphasis on maybe, we get into Thursday and Friday. Some of that energy works its way into the Gulf, the South Gulf, the Bay of Campeche, and perhaps we get something to spin up. You see what the model is doing. This is GFS forecast model showing broad circulation here by the time we get to next Friday. We're talking not this Friday here, but 2 Fridays out from now. So the last Friday in the month of June. Maybe something able to spin up there briefly before it moves into Mexico. I wouldn't put too much stake into that. I think if anything, the GFS is overplaying what will likely be some more formation in the Eastern Pacific, which, as we'll talk about in just a moment here, activity really popping off there over the last couple of weeks. But if there's going to be something before the end of June, I think that's where it would be in the Bay of Campeche, and it would be no type of threat whatsoever to the state of Florida. So for our purposes here, we keep things quiet. This is from the European forecast model, the ensemble. You take the 51 different members, you run them out, you see how many produce something that produces tropical depression, tropical depression winds over 35 knots basically. And they suggest, yes, the South Caribbean, a spot to watch, and it does have some probability here in the Western Gulf, the Bay of Campeche, as we get into late next week. So again, that's what we'll be watching, but overall, it's quiet in the Atlantic. It is expected to stay that way. This is from the latest update from the Hurricane Center. No development expected for the next 7 days, carrying us into that final week of June. Yeah, there's definitely a case, a high possibility here we could get through the month of June without a storm in the Atlantic. It would be the first time since 2014 that we waited till July for this first storm to form. Meanwhile, as you've been quiet in the Atlantic, anything but in the Pacific, we're already on storm number 5 here. We already had one hurricane in Barbara, and Eric, our current storm, likely to become a hurricane too. So here's the 5 o'clock update. We actually have the 8 o'clock numbers in too. I haven't updated it yet, but they're exactly the same. Movement west-northwest, 12 miles per hour. Wind speeds 40 miles per hour, so barely a tropical storm. 1,005 millibar pressure. There is Eric. You can sort of see it trying to coalesce here. We have what looks to be the appearance of some spiral bands trying to form up. And we can disorganize now, but all indications are this will make a run at becoming a fairly formidable early season hurricane. Perhaps no surprise, the black line I have is the NHC forecast track. These are sea surface temperatures. We sort of say that 78 degrees is the threshold for waters being warm enough for a tropical storm or hurricane to gain strength, to form, to strengthen. 85 degree water temperatures, yeah, that will definitely work. So very warm waters ahead of this as it heads towards the coast of Mexico. And wind shear will remain low. So this will have every opportunity to strengthen in the interim, and that is what the Hurricane Center is calling for, this ramping up to Category 2 intensity. In fact, this actually did update, so I apologize for the boxes being over these numbers here, but from a tropical storm now to 24 hours from now, a borderline hurricane, to by the time we get to early Thursday morning, a Category 2 storm with 100-mile-per-hour winds, perhaps making a run at major hurricane strength as it approaches the coast of Mexico, I should say just off to the east of Acapulco. I think the main threat here for coastal Mexico, along with at least localized hurricane force winds, this should be a fairly small little hurricane force wind core as this comes in. Some big rain totals. Look at that, near where Salina Cruz is marked. 14 inches of rain, even into Acapulco. While a landfall of a hurricane would be avoided, this would likely be falling apart. We're still talking 6 inches of rain. So flooding will be a concern here in southern Mexico from the first landfalling hurricane of 2025, in all likelihood, of the Eastern Pacific hurricane season. So we'll be watching that as it works on shore. Again, the timing as we go back to the landfall. Actually, let me go ahead and zoom in on this too so I can move these around a little bit. The timing of the landfall would be early Thursday morning. This would likely move on shore off to the east of Acapulco. Hurricane Eric would be the first landfalling hurricane of the Eastern Pacific season. That's it for this edition of Tropics Talk. I'll have an update on Eric as it's working its way towards the coast coming up for you on Thursday. So I'll see you then.